I had the pleasure of having this beautiful interview with Jeremy Pope. He has a production company creating Catholic content, and one of his videos really hit me, which was the death of his child, Stephen. Um, I'm going to put links to his channel below, so please enjoy this interview. Afterwards, please like and subscribe to his YouTube channel. And if you want to support him financially, please reach out to him. I do think we need more Catholic content creators. Anyway, enjoy this. God bless. Take care. Bye bye. So today I'm joined with Jeremy Pope. He has a beautiful um, YouTube channel and company, a recording company called Kingdom Productions. And one of the videos hit me a lot, and Jeremy's going to go into that video in a second. And we celebrated. Some people celebrated 4 years since we had the abortion referendum in Ireland, and I think I just thought that this video was so impactful. If we'd had this 4 years ago, how it would have helped. So, Jeremy, do you want to give us an overview of yourself, the channel, that video? And I'll put that link to that video below this. So I do encourage people, go look at that video, subscribe to his channel. So Jeremy, just take us through a little bit your story, please.
Sure. Well, in 2018, I had just gotten out of the military actually, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I was going to college, working in marketing and things like this. And then we found out when we were about 20 weeks pregnant with our third child that we were going to lose him. And we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to handle that, and so we just started asking people, started telling people what was going on, asking them to pray for us. And then obviously, as you've seen in the video, the response to that was incredible. And, everybody surrounded us and helped us get through this tragedy that we had to go through. And then we found that afterwards, telling our story to people, telling the story of, this child that we lost that had so much value and goodness in our lives, this little baby who was only alive for an hour and 28 minutes outside of the womb, he had such a big impact on so many people. We found that just telling our story to people changed people's lives. There were so many people who had miscarriages and things like this that they've never told anybody about. And, because they heard Stephen's story, they were able to find healing from their own, tragedies that they've gone through in their lives. And then we also found that telling our story to people who were, of the pro-choice persuasion, a lot of times it compelled them enough to, change their mind about that issue. And so we resolved, that was when I got into filmmaking. And now I'm a filmmaker. Like you said, I have a production company. And we resolved to make a documentary about his life. How many more people could be impacted by his story? And so, like I said, I started with this, little 6-minute prototype documentary, which eventually blossomed into a full-length 45-minute documentary that we never expected would change our lives. We sent it to a few film festivals and things like this, and it won, best documentary at the biggest Christian film festival in the world. Now it's going on EWTN today. It has got distribution. It's on DVD, and people all around the world have heard our story. Thousands and thousands of people have heard about the life of Stephen, and everybody who hears our story expresses at least one of three things to me. Either they have a greater commitment to the Catholic faith, going deeper in their relationship with Jesus Christ. They recognize, the value of life, the value of every child, and they've been able to heal from their own traumatic events in their life. And then the last thing, the thing that brings me the most joy, and I think brings the angels in heaven the most joy, is they change their mind about their pro-life or their pro-choice stance, and then they join the pro-life movement and, try to help save other children who do matter, who are being killed by their parents, which is, obviously in Ireland, that's a very sore wound right now. And in the United States, it's definitely the biggest topic that everybody's talking about. So I think Stephen's story is really important, as part of, understanding this issue, understanding why every life matters. I think it's really easy to give intellectual arguments, but it's a whole nother thing to experience the value of the life of a child in the womb. And I think that's what we have to offer people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, I'm father of three children, and I remember when we were pregnant, we lost one child out of we pregnant four times, and we lost one. But when Kinga, my wife, she's was pregnant the second time with Laura. She had chicken pox at the time, and whatever time during the pregnancy the doctors were saying, well, there's a chance that this could cause deformity and so forth, and in other, and there were, and one doctor said, well, in other countries obviously they would have recommended a termination, not something that we even remotely contemplated. But the fact that you would talk about the child in the womb in such a manner, now she was born
Right.
completely healthy, no problems. I would say too healthy sometimes. but
Yeah,
she's
and we were told the exact same thing, with Stephen. When we found out we were going to lose him, we had to go see a we had a really good Catholic doctor, but we had
yeah.
to go see specialists, to figure out what exactly was going on with Stephen. And that was the first thing they said. They said most people would just, end it right now. Is that what you would want to do? And like, that was just the most mortifying thing I've ever heard in my life. We were just like, absolutely not. This is like, why would you even ask that? That doesn't make sense to our,
Yeah.
our Catholic mindset.
Yeah. I think what's missing in the debate sometimes is the value, the formative value that these children give us, and the formative value that people who are quote unquote worthless to society, if you're a quadriplegic in a wheelchair and you've no quality of life, some people don't say, well, why would you let that person live? um,
Right.
and we forget there's a formative value in caring for these human beings. They form us. We wouldn't be having this conversation if you'd have taken a different path, which you obviously wouldn't. But let's say you did, this conversation wouldn't be happening. Your
Right.
video wouldn't be happening, and we wouldn't be reaching the hearts and minds of people who have to make, sadly, these choices. To most of the time, over 95% of these abortions are completely healthy children, completely not.
Right.
This is the debate that people miss. And we are, what is important is that we need your leadership now in the world, men like you, families like you, to speak of the humanity of the child in the womb, and to give that leadership in today's society, that the our children are just as precious in the womb as they are out of the womb. And it's great your ability to see that, because I was looking at your videos, and I have to say, there's a lot of creativity in there, and to be able to express that isn't easy sometimes, because
Right.
one thing is to give an argument, and another thing is to do that video. That is a whole bag of emotion in there, the love, the crying. I mean, that's raw humanity. And I'm 100% sure, Jeremy, that anyone who was faced with this decision, if you looked at your child, you would never go ahead with that. If you looked at them at 1 year,
Right.
5 years,
And I think it's more than just, one of the horrible arguments that I think for the pro-life position is that, this child could be the president. You don't know what this child is going to accomplish. This child could cure cancer or something like that. And, it doesn't matter what they do in their life. It doesn't matter if they have Down syndrome or if they're quadriplegic or something like that. These children are made in the image and likeness of Almighty God,
yeah,
and Stephen, you could argue that he didn't accomplish anything in his life. He lived for an hour and a half. So, what, how is that there any value to his life? Well, his life is valuable because he's made in the image and likeness of God. He has an eternal and immortal soul, and he is a child of God. He matters not because of anything that he could do, not because of any potential that he has, but simply by the fact that he was created and loved by God.
yeah,
And I think that when you remove that from the argument and you give arguments based on, you know, a child's potential to achieve something, it really, you lose the whole heart of the argument. Stephen's life matters because he was made in the image and likeness of God, and he's my child. You know, I know what it's like to lose one of my children, and now, you know, that makes the passion of Christ all that more real to me, because the Father went through this willingly for me, for my sake, so that I could be invited into the kingdom of God for all eternity. He gave up his son. I know what that's like. And
Yeah.
so now I can relate to the passion of Christ in a whole new way. I can see the value of every life in a more visceral way, because, you know, I've been shown how much it really does matter, how true it is that all life is sacred.
Yes, absolutely. And how long have you been working on this documentary? Is this over the last number of years, or it's just
Yeah, so
recently?
the obviously we lost Stephen on Thanksgiving Day 2018.
Hmm.
And then after that, I started working on the documentary. I was in college at the time, and I spent 1 year working on the documentary. And then about a year after that, Stephen's movie was released. You know, we had a little bit of a theatrical release in a few parishes. You know, we opened it up to the community, and, you know, just to get a sense of, you know, is this even a worthwhile, is this a good project, are people going to be able to relate and understand, and you know, is it going to be something that is kind of marketable.
Yeah.
And so after having some really big success with that, we started sending it to film festivals. It won some pretty big awards. It got some good nominations from that, and then we found distribution in 2021. And then our distributor, they market it to other networks. So they're the ones who marketed it to EWTN, and obviously we got to deal with EWTN, and it's been going around to a lot of other places. It is we're talking to the people over at Formed. It's just been it's kind of an incredible journey that we've been on with this film, and I think hopefully there's a lot more to come.
Okay. Okay. And what is the best way of contacting you or supporting you with this work? What would you like from the public, from
Right now, you know, something I've mentioned it, you know, in that comment on your video. One thing that I've noticed, you know, in the culture, I've done a lot of scholarship on the morality of film and things like this. One thing that I've noticed is that people are so inundated with the entertainment world, you know, with
yeah,
Netflix and with Disney Plus and all these things. A lot of people are getting rid of Disney Plus, I think for good reasons. And I think as Catholics, we have to make that decision. And even if it makes our life a little bit more difficult, you have to be cutting this immoral content out of our lives. But one thing that I've noticed is generally people don't care, and they don't think it matters that much, you know, about the degenerate content that they consume on a regular basis. And one of the things that I think people should be doing in the culture is seeking out, you know, Catholics who are making good content,
yeah,
seeking out, you know, good networks who are not going to, you know, fill your kid's head or your head with a bunch of garbage. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are doing that, like the Daily Wire and other big corporations, but also people like me. You know, I am just a Catholic who is wanting to make great films that could have a positive impact on people's lives. And so I would just encourage people to seek out Catholic media and Catholic creators, because it really is difficult living the life of an artist, the life of a filmmaker.
mm,
In as someone who's a faithful Catholic, there's not many people who want to support that, both in Hollywood, both in the, you know, the abomination that the Christian film industry has become. So I think that seek out Catholic creators, and if you want to, you know, seek out and support me, our website, we run a company called Kingdom Productions. Our website is kingdomphopro.com, kingdom, PHOPRO.com. And we are, right now we're making short films. We're making little documentaries. We have a Rosary for Life that we're working on that's going to be coming out here soon. And I'm a screenwriter. So I have my MFA in screenwriting, and I've written a feature film about the life of Blessed Miguel Pro that's won quite a few awards from both a Christian and a secular standpoint. And I think that hopefully it's really difficult to begin to gain traction as a screenwriter, as a filmmaker in the industry today. But I think we're starting to do that. And so, and that is a lot easier with everybody's support. So if you want to support us, we definitely greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll put a link to your website and your YouTube channel when I publish this video. Another question that was kind of coming to mind is, what's your thoughts on the whole phenomenon of The Chosen, which seems to have really cornered the whole market with crowdfunding? Do you think there's an opening for that in the Catholic world for other productions?
I definitely think that there's, The Chosen is just a great example of how somebody can, independent of Hollywood and independent of any studio, go and, give something Christian that everybody really wants, and be able to, independent of those studios, retain creative control and then make something really great. I think that there's definitely more room for that, but people need to know that it exists. People need to be able to step outside of their Netflix world and go and seek out good quality Catholic entertainment. And I think really that could be the future of how truly good Catholic movies start coming into the arena and competing with the secular Hollywood and the really base content that's coming from the Christian world. I think that's definitely, Dallas Jenkins was really smart on his approach for that, and and it was kind of a Hail Mary kind of thing, and it worked out for him. And I'd question some of the things that he does in the production of that movie or of that series. There's some of the content that it contains, but in general, I think it's helped a lot of people, and it's really brought the life of Christ to the forefront, and that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of, you could see that some people have come on criticizing bits and pieces of, was it historically correct? That, I suppose my take on all of this is, if you don't like it, do something better. Come out and do the same and bring it forward and develop. Because we do need more content creators who are giving us topics that people want to listen to. Because like yourself, I think we had Disney Plus for 1 month, and nobody was looking at it, to be honest. So we just cancelled it.
Right.
So I don't even know what's on there lately. And we generally don't bother even looking at the television. It's my son has a sports program, and he's playing sports with his friends. So, but what I do see a lot of Catholics doing is listening to Catholic podcasters, broadcasters.
Right.
They're getting fed there, and but what we don't have is that good content creation, what you've done, because a lot of the screenplays that I've seen said this is high quality, and it's not just the Catholic world that would like this. I could see it an appeal to it elsewhere. And
and I definitely think one of the things with that is the biopic genre is very attractive to people, because in that way you can tell Catholic stories, very deeply historical, good Catholic stories about things that actually happened. And with it being based on reality, I think a lot more people would be more inclined to go and see a Catholic production that, is based on the life of a Catholic saint, and thereby, receive the faith in some way. That's what A Man for All Seasons wasn't made for a Catholic, but it won the Academy Award for Best Picture. And many people think that it's the best biopic ever created. And it's about a Catholic saint. It's about St. Thomas More. And I think we can be doing a lot more things like that today. But I think it has to be done outside of the Hollywood studio system. I know quite a few people who are involved in that system. And, as soon as you mention some kind of Christian thing, some kind of Christian ideal, immediately it's cornered off into the Christian market, which is, after that, it's generally rewritten by evangelical Protestant pastors who put, their standard nonsense in it, and then it gets made for a really low budget and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then, or if it's made within the Hollywood studio system, it ends up being something like Father Stu. A lot of people are praising Father Stu as this really great Catholic movie, but then you actually look at the content, look at what it contains, and there's a lot of degenerate and debased moral content that I don't think as Catholics we can subscribe to, and that's based on a lot of Catholic teaching that seems to have been forgotten.
Yeah.
The production code was put in place by Catholics for a reason, and bishops used to condemn movies that contain degenerate content for a reason. And I think that either it has to contain this immoral nonsense, or it has to contain this Protestant evangelical message, or it's not going to get produced. And I think people need to seek out Catholic creators who are making stuff that doesn't contain either, but they're still creating great stories. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I wrote my first biopic. I'm working on writing another one about St. Maximilian Kolbe. And so, but in order to get these things made, we need support from the people. We need Catholics to seek us out, and we need to be more confident in putting ourselves out there and saying we're not going to subscribe to either system. We're going to make content that glorifies Jesus Christ and brings people closer to the Catholic Church and to everything that God desires us to have in our lives.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Father Stew, that movie didn't even make it to Ireland. So it's this is a simple reality that maybe
Right.
there was some success in the US, but it didn't even hit the cinemas here. That's how far we're gone as a society, that's something that wouldn't even appeal here. But for sure, this is I think we see the Catholic world coming together now a little bit more, and I do think there should be some overlap with Protestants on certain areas that we agree on. Certainly the pro-life issue, there has to be more unity and overlap, and that's, if you're doing a film on the right to life, the beauty of life, that's something that should unite all Christians. I mean, we
right. And take that $12 a month that you've been giving to Disney, who are trying to promote sickening woke agendas, and give it to a Catholic who is trying to genuinely bring people closer to Jesus Christ. Whether that's me or whether that's any other Catholic creator who's trying to make the world a better place, trying to promote the church that Christ founded. Take that $12 a month, get rid of Netflix, get rid of Disney, and support somebody who's going to lead you closer to Christ rather than try and steer you away.
Yeah. What I think what I think we should be moving to now is a Chosen Plus network, which would expand out their content. And I think it's time now the Catholics got behind this. And it's exactly what you said. I mean, $12 a month isn't a massive amount of money for a lot of us to get good content. And I mean, what's frightening me is when I look at the channel, I see the hours of people that watch my videos, and I'm thinking, well, okay, this is a blog, but Catholics are looking for this. And there's another blogger in the United States called Anthony Stein. He has a channel called Return to Tradition, and he's just reading many of the time Catholic literature. So he'll dig out a Sermon of the Saint or Catholic literature from the past, and people like this. This is the content people want. So there's a whole there's a lot of people looking for this content that are looking to be fed spiritually, and there's for sure there's a void there that we can fill, because I think, as you said, Hollywood, and especially Disney, have gone so woke that they've lost me. I just said, look, I don't even
Right.
know what I'm going to see next time. What idea they'll make up. Will they have actors that are male for first half of the movie and then turn female for the second half? God, you just don't know.
And the
Where
funny thing about it is, everybody criticizes the Christian film industry for putting out propaganda, which is what they're doing. They're not making art, they're making propaganda, trying to put out, as I said, that evangelical Protestant message. But now, if you look at Hollywood today, they're doing the exact same thing, except with a different agenda. And, look at the standard. In order to win an Academy Award, you have to have a certain amount of diversity on your cast and crew. You have to have certain kinds of content. Well, they're doing the exact same thing that the Christian industry is doing, and it's nobody's fooled by it. We know that we're being fed propaganda, so we're looking for people to produce genuine art, and art that is true, good, and beautiful. As St. John Paul II tells us, that's the goal. God is truth, good, and beauty, and the end of art is beauty. So if you're able to achieve that, it will always lead people to God if you're making great art. And so, clearly we're not getting that from either side, and we need both artists to rise up and do the work, and we need people to support those artists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on Netflix, but anytime I look at what they have in their catalog, it seems to be very focused on magic, demonic, the Lucifer series and all this. I mean, it's just out a little bit too unsettling for me to look at their stuff. But
they're not hiding what they're doing in any way, and they're promoting. There's a lot of I've listened to a few notable exorcists who say, that's the next step, right? Once we get rid of God, now we can overtly pursue these occult, kind of things, and that's exactly what's happening in the pro-life, pro-choice debate right now. Everybody, like one of the major popular messages from the pro-choice side of things in the United States today is people from the Satanic Temple saying abortion is a religious ritual for us, and we have religious freedom, so we have to be able to provide abortions for people for this ritual, right? So that's it's not a secret what they're doing anymore, and we have to understand that and not be afraid of that. We have to understand what's going on, and then sanctify ourselves, sanctify our families, and live holy lives so that we can so that eventually this will turn around. Evil will destroy itself. I know so many Catholic families who have tons of children who are living beautiful lives, and people on the other side are trying to avoid having children at all costs, and they don't understand the sanctity of life, and they don't understand that evil will eventually destroy itself. And so, with the next generation, with all of us having so many kids and living such beautiful lives, I think that this evil will destroy itself eventually. But we're living in a tumultuous time where we can't see the fruit of it, and that's we just have to hold on and trust God and sanctify our families.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sadly, Ireland has been invaded by a lot of this woke ideas that the US media is popping out. But look, we have to pray, and you're totally right. The greatest thing we can have to do today is to have children, is to think of the next generation and give our lives to something that has beauty in it. I mean, there's nothing more true, good, and beautiful than the child. I mean, this, you've held a child. I mean, any parent, the mother, father, there's nothing more true, good, or beautiful than that child created in the likeness and image of God. And this is, we have to show this. I'm completely convinced no one would destroy that life if they held that life in their hands.
Right.
So Jeremy, is there anything else that we can do to support you apart from? I'll put a link to your website, but if you needed more support, please reach out, and we'll definitely be more than helpful in promoting and sharing your stuff. And I do
Well,
think,
thank you very much.
yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with this screenplay right now. This is the next big project that I'm working on. It's based on the life of Blessed Miguel Pro, and it would take about $5 million to make a movie like this. So,
Okay.
that's I don't want a studio to support it, because then they're going to, make it their own, which is not obviously not ideal. So that's we're kind of trying to figure out what that would look like, how to raise money for something like this, for a movie like this. And that's one of the difficult things. If so many people would be willing to stop supporting Disney Plus and Netflix and actually pour into the Catholic film industry, then we could definitely start doing a lot more things like this. But it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. And we live in an impatient culture who wants everything right now and wants what they want. And it's a really difficult time to get things off the ground, but by God's grace, I think we'll get there. It just we have to do the work as well, and that's what we're working on. So
Yeah.
As many people who are willing to support that as want to support that, then we welcome that, and we want to make them things that it'll be worth their money, it'll be worth their time, and it won't lead them astray.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be the first to sign up when we see the Chosen Plus network, which I or you're associated into one of these a Catholic Plus network, with great content. I'd really be interested, and I've no doubt, Jeremy. I've no doubt. I think God is in His providence is pushing you in this interview for a reason, and we'll get your name out there. And Miguel Pro, that I think he was a Mexican priest, Jesuit.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's I've always found him.
He's the one who popularized Viva Cristo Rey.
Yes. I used to live in Mexico, so I remember lots of stories, and
yes,
he's certainly a different generation of Jesuits than some
certainly, yes,
that we have today. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this interview up, and I'm going to leave links below to your channel, to your website. If you have a funding campaign, please let me know, and I'll put that link in there as well. And above all, we will be praying, and we'll put prayer in action here. I think if the Chosen can do it, we can do it for other content creators, Catholic content creators. And I hope we'll be of some help, Jeremy.
Well, thank you very much. And prayer is definitely the most important thing. Offer a rosary for us, offer, whatever you have to offer. I mean, that'll do more than your money ever will.
Yeah, we will work through it. Thanks very much, Jeremy.
Thank you, Robert.
God bless.